It is ours. I texted Wallace to tell me to make sure. Like, get in the chat.
I'm ready when you are.
All right, welcome all. Thank you for coming this evening to Barnes and Nobles and helping us celebrate Becca's book. I'm gonna do a little introduction. I'm pretty sure all of you guys know her by now, but if you don't, yay! So once again, thank you for coming to Barnes and Noble Atlantic. We welcome you as we celebrate the release of Grandma's Little Secret by Becca C. Smith. Inspired by true events, Grandma's Little Secret is about how one girl's life changed forever when she foils a murder and becomes a target herself. Little like so you guys can like want to buy it and read it. We're not gonna spoil it for you. Becca fell in love with storytelling at a young age. Her first book she ever read was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And since reading it, she has been looking for the door of Narnia. Trust me, I have two when I first saw it. Wardrobe? I know. Okay, next one. As a passionate reader, Becca's consumed a mixture of paranormal, mystery thrillers, sci-fi, and fantasy, and it's no surprise that she has written in all genres as well. Becca loves to sew, from cosplay to elegant, mystic, magical creature bags. She just loves to create. Becca is joined tonight by Zara Hoffman, founder of and publisher of, sorry if I mispronounced the name,
You're good.
Inimitable. But again, thank you, and well, please welcome Becca and Zara.
Um, Thank you for being here. Can everyone hear? Yes. We did test the mics in advance.
No, they're working.
Okay.
Really loud.
And yours works good.
So, Becca, inspired by true events, you changed the age of the character in the book that's based on you, but it's been a while since it happened. It's been a while in the writing.
Want to be old?
No. But what made you want to write this now when you found out that I was interested in like thrillers? You know, you write a bunch of books all the time. What made you think like this is the one I want to submit to an
I think because I wanted to give it its best shot because I've been self-publishing for like 16 years now, and my books have done really well, but it's just this one was different because it's a true story, or what am I supposed to say?
Inspired by true events. Gotta do that for the lawyers.
Gotta do that. Yeah, so, and I had written it in various iterations over the years. I had written it as a screenplay, I had written it as a graphic novel, I had written it as all these ways, but I kept like sticking to like anytime I went off like what actually happened, I was like, well, that actually, didn't happen. And so I wouldn't, and I realized that stories, things, happen in real life. It's not actually a story. It's just events that happen, and those don't necessarily make a good story. So once I was able to step back and fictionalize it and make these characters completely fictional, then I was able to write it as a story. So then, yeah, and I think it was like a wild coincidence that you were doing thrillers, and I was all like, oh my God, I'm writing, because I was writing the screenplay at the time.
Yes.
And then I was all like, I'm gonna be writing this into a book. And like, if you like are interested in this, I would love to like pitch it to you. And so it kind of ended up being that serendipitous, like,
I got very excited.
And but yeah, because it was like really like, oh my God, because I was going to make it into a book, and I was going to self-publish it. But then you said that, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this is like the perfect, moment. So yeah, so
Yeah,
it's your fault.
you're welcome too. You talk about having to fictionalize, obviously legal reasons, but then having that distance to write the story. Were there any moments where you were on the fence of do I fictionalize this or do I keep it more real? Without spoiling the book too much, and if you want to give some examples of like the bike is under the dust jacket. We've shown it off online. So
Oh.
that, if you want to talk about like, no, that one's real, but the other ones maybe. Just tease the book.
Yeah. No pressure. No, so yeah, obviously she was not a serial killer. That I will tell you. In the book I made her a serial killer because I thought it would that we know of, to be fair.
Asterisk.
A woman is capable of anything. Yeah. So it's like once I kind of made her completely fiction, I changed the names. I changed even the island because I was always sticking to like, oh, I'll make my character fictional, but I'll keep her name accurate, like when I was doing iterations before. So with this one, I was like, no, I'm gonna make up her name. I'm going to make up the island name. So there's in the book it's Bentmer Island, and there's no such thing as Bentmer Island. It's completely made up. So by making everything fictional, it helped me to like, how would I tell the story if I was just writing one of my books, you know? Like the only thing is because it is based in a true story, is that the grandfather character, he was murdered in real life. So that had to stay in the story. And that is the part that was the hardest for me because if I was writing one of my other books, he would have survived. You know, it would have been him and the granddaughter. They would have like fought the bad guy and like ran off and alternate ending. Exactly. So that was the hardest because I wanted to still stick to the story because one of the things that was so important to me was to at least tell everybody a little bit about who Rolf was as a person in real life. The character Roy in the book is based on Rolf. And I just really wanted people to see him because he's famous for two things: for destroying the West Seattle Bridge with his boat and for being murdered. And so it's like he was so much more than that. And so this was kind of even in a fictional sense, but it was a way to show how fine he was, how much of a grandfather he was to me, and really kind of explore that in a way that I never was able to in the other versions because I was like sticking to what happened, you know? So
Um,
I forgot the question. I have
Nope.
if I answered it.
no, I mean you talked about it. I would say that was good. We have your sister here. Your mom unfortunately couldn't make it. So hi Donna.
I said her the line.
In real life, you told me that certain things happened with your sister present, and in the book, she's not.
Yes, Julie got cut out of your book. Which she was happy about. She's like, good, I don't want to be in it. No, I actually my two best friends growing up, one of which was supposed to show up tonight, but I don't know where she is. But yeah, they were my two best friends. And I basically there was a big chunk of the story, the real life story, which took place on the island. And that's what Julie was present for. So I replaced Julie with my two best friends. And so the other stuff with them was stuff that happened, but like in terms of the involvement of like the murder and the murder mystery and solving it, obviously that was fiction because they were not a part of that. But it was fun because I've known them since I was 5 years old. I knew them so well that it was so fun to write their characters of how they would have been back then. So it was, yeah, that was probably my favorite part of writing the book was writing their characters because I know what they would say in a situation like that.
I mean, people in reviews have pointed out how much they love the kid dialogue and how real it feels. And then also hearing you say it in the audiobook. We're here for the hardcover, but Becca also narrated the audiobook and did a great job. But yeah, with, trying to balance reality, fiction, paranormal elements, some of which I know aren't totally fiction, but then thriller expectations.
Right.
How did you do that? I feel like I didn't really have to, in the editing process, say like, hey, you need to amp up any of these elements. It was all kind of just there and you wanted to clean it up.
Well, I think a part of it was writing it as a screenplay first. because that's kind of the natural way a screenplay works, is you're kind of ramping up into the end in a big moment. Hi, Denasia. Not to point you out and like
So let me
but I'm
point you
trying
out.
to point you out. And wait, someone else is walking down. Is that Ruby? She's like, I'm gonna kill you. Ruby, hello, I love you.
I heard you, by the way. I've been sitting up there. I was like, I will not enter.
Well, thank you for being here. What was the question now? I got distracted by my
Mixing the genres and like
Yes.
balancing it.
So originally, like I said, I wrote it as a screenplay. So I think the thriller aspect of it, it helped the pacing anyway. So, but with the story and stuff, I think again it was just about making it fictional and how I would normally write one of my stories. So it was kind of like fit into place. And I usually in all of my books have some paranormal element to it.
Yes.
So I just amped that up. So like the little girl is psychic, and so is the grandmother.
Murderous grandmother.
Yeah, so to have like a battle between two people that are highly sensitive, like, and one of them is a serial killer, like how would that play out,
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I went with that. So that's where, I could fully go fictional on that one, but still draw in these elements that actually happened.
What was your favorite part of the book to write? And it could be a plot point, or it could be like, oh, I really liked writing this character arc, or being able to write about a fictionalized version of your grandfather figure, or just whatever.
I mean, honestly, my favorite parts were writing the fantasy elements, like, because she has like this crazy imagination, and so and she's very hard for her to differentiate between reality and fantasy. So kind of just diving into like she fully believes what she's seeing, like that was fun for me, because like
The road ate my bike.
yeah, like she's very serious about it. And then when her friend steps in and is all like, her tire got caught on the thing, and the bike, whatever. And she's like, yeah, like I said, the road ate my bike, like it's because to her, she saw giant like tar monsters chomping down on it, because that's just how she sees life. So that was really fun, because that's kind of how I was as a kid. And so it was just like always getting in trouble for, lying as my mom. Whatever, mom.
She's not here to defend herself.
Like, yeah, because there is also a part where I that I put in the true and false section in the back, but like
Yes.
because I did have such an active imagination, so I was always like making up stories and lying. And so my parents, to ground me, there was a probably very problematic television show now that we look back, called the Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo, and they grounded me from being able to see the season finale, which we then later found out was the series finale. And because it was not a popular show, I was the only one who liked it. They never put it in reruns, so I have to this day have
Cannot find it.
never seen the season finale of Sheriff Lobo.
We
looked.
We found a link. My shout out to my mom, who found a link immediately and was like, give this to Becca. And Becca's like, I already tried it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was joking in the book that it's the longest grounding ever.
Sometimes the punishment hasn't ended.
But yeah, that was fun. And then, like I said, writing the two best friends was probably the most fun I had, because that felt very like Goonies and Stranger Things and like that kind of vibe, which is like my favorite. That's my favorite.
Was there research you had to do for the book, or was it like, no, I can pull from all of my lived experiences?
Mostly it was lived experiences, but yeah, there would be, what's kind of crazy actually is that when I did a documentary on my YouTube channel.
It's great.
Because thank you. Because a family friend sent me, she had collected every single newspaper article from the trial, from everything that happened. And so I obviously had already written the book by then. It was already, at the printer by then. So what's wild to me is when I was reading some of these articles, some of the like personal things that happened between the grandma and the grandfather figure, I made up in the book, or I thought I did. And when I was reading the articles, it was wild because some of them were confirmed as like this is what happened between them, as you know, and I'm just like, oh my God, I totally called that one and I had no idea. So it looks like I researched it, but I did not. I actually just
Like,
intuitively, like, yeah, just thought I made it up and it was actually true. So that was kind of wild to figure out. But yeah, mostly it was from memory because it is a lot of it is just paranormal fantasy kind of stuff. So there isn't elements of it that you need to research or that you could research, I guess.
I don't know if you looked up how boat captains work.
You know, because I never went into detail of his job, I just that was kind of surface because I don't think that the 11-year-old would know much about,
That's true.
you know, freighter shipping, you know. So so I felt like I
What
could
do you
keep it
mean?
vague. I know. And if I had done chapters in his point of view,
Right.
then I would have researched it a lot more. But I kind of wanted to keep it where the character, how they would see it, not how like I feel like it would feel weird if she knew a lot about, you know, shipping captains and things like that.
Had you considered, because it is a fictionalized version, had you considered going into Rolf slash Roy's head or doing it from like an outsider's perspective of like your friends being there with you and
There is, and Katie Ann and Devation know this, but there is a version that I originally did where it actually I had 3 POVs and it was with Freya, the ghost.
fish lady.
Fish lady. Yeah. So the ghost in that helps her, kind of guides her. I got so obsessed with her fictional story that and so Marnie is the one, by the way, that when I gave it to her, she was all like, "You've got 2 stories going on here." She's like, "You've got Freya's story and you've got the grandma and the granddaughter." She's all like, "I love them both, but which one are you gonna pick?" And I was like, no, I really wanted to. That's the whole reason why I started writing this book was to do the granddaughter and the So basically, the Freya story, which I literally, I mean, you have no idea. There was a whole thing with the FBI guy. Like there was their love story. Like it was a full on novel to itself. But I realized I could just use that in another novel. You know,
I mean, it's
Go
still
see
hinted
what's
at.
wrong.
It's still hinted at.
Yeah, it's hinted, it's there, but it's definitely like pulled back. I mean, I even had court scenes like with like the well, not court scenes, but like with the FBI going to his boss and going to, you know, what the actual detective did in real life, where he tried, you know, he knew she was guilty. Like in real life, Ray Clever was his name, and everyone just wanted to dismiss it as like, you know, he's missing, he wasn't killed, there's no body, and but he would not give up, and so it's because of him that they were able to, you know, go in there and get the proof and the I think it ended up being 700 pieces of evidence.
That's what you said in your documentary.
Yeah. So yeah.
That she tried to get thrown out.
Yeah, that she got to get thrown out because she said it was an illegal search or something. Anyway, she tried to like she tried to like stall this trial for years, and she did. Like they arrested her, and I think it was 3 years later when they finally went to trial.
After the nosebleed and the broken hip.
Yeah, like I know. Yeah, she would it was be like she fell. What's crazy though is on the documentary, I actually got a comment from somebody that was one of the cops that flew her from the island when she was on house arrest after she was convicted, by the way. Her neighbors, they all put their houses up, their mortgages up to pay her bail, because they believed in her so much. And so and so she was on house arrest, convicted. So she was like, you know, waiting for her next appeal. And then she was driving home drunk as usual, and she hit 2 bicyclists with her car. And it was because of that she was thrown into jail. So, but anyway, I got this comment from this guy, and he's like, "I actually met your great aunt, and I was the guy that had to load her into the helicopter, and or a car. No, it's a helicopter.
It's a
Oh,
helicopter.
it was a helicopter or plane. I think it was one of those.
It's a thing
those
that flies and
planes.
is not a vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Yeah.
It's not important.
Anyway, she got so mad because she wanted to sit on the side where his gun was. And she got so mad that she peed in his.
Oh.
Yeah, and she's like, I lost my water. And then it was so funny the way he ended the conference.
He
So,
phrased it
what did he say? Lovely woman, you're and it was just so funny.
very tongue in cheek.
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, that sums her up. Yep, I would say that's true.
I mean, I would say she's. I mean, from the way you describe her in the documentary, she was sociopathic.
Yeah,
evil.
yeah.
In the book, she's a little bit more straight up fictionalized evil in the way where
Yeah.
it's like you look at her and you're like, she's evil.
Yeah.
Going into that mindset, because you didn't just write it from Emma's point of view.
Right.
What was that like?
Well, I kind of wanted to give her some like reasoning behind why she did the things she did, and like I said, everyone's sort of like she's not here to defend herself or to say or not, but from the family we've heard that she was abused, and so a lot of times I would think at that young age how that could, if you have you're already prone to like a certain personality, like how that might have affected her. So I kind of just wanted to, because I don't know, like it's wild to me that like even as a kid she scared the crap out of me, you know what I mean? But everyone just seemed to think that she was the greatest, and which is why I never told anybody when
She chased me with a bunch
when
of
she chased me with a butcher knife. Yeah, because I just you didn't really do that in the 80s. You didn't really tell your parents anything. And so
Sorry, Donna.
sorry, mom. Yeah, because honestly, if I would have told my mom, she would have taken us off the island and been like, "Get out of here!" Like now, like what? Because I don't think she would have been surprised necessarily. But I think that there's just a lot of like, I don't think a lot of the family just wanted to see it, because honestly, when she was arrested, everyone believed it. Like no one was all like, no, she couldn't have done that. They were like, whoa, like we couldn't believe she went through with it, because she would always like threaten and say like, like there's actually testimony that my aunt and my mom said where they were like, she she would call them and be like, I can see him from, I have my gun aimed at him now on the pool and I could hit him right now if I wanted to. But nothing ever happened, and she was drunk, and so people don't want to believe, so they just write it off. And then when it happened, everyone was like, oh God,
Maybe we should have taken that seriously.
yeah. But it's really hard when someone says things like that all the time but never act up on it, so you just think it's part of their personality,
Yeah.
which is weird, but but
You're an author. You only do it fictionally.
yeah. Exactly. But yeah, so it was, it was a weird time back then. So, and as a kid, I was a lot younger I was a lot younger in real life than I am in the book. In the book, I made myself 11 because I thought that would be a little bit easier for people to digest. Because in real life, all that happened to me when I was 7. So I feel like it's just a lot more difficult to imagine a 7-year-old going through all that, and then not that
Thankfully,
it's-
you're very well adjusted.
yeah, I mean it's still bad at 11, but like for certain that's where it added the elements of being able to be like have like a Stranger Things Goonies kind of feel to it,
Yeah.
because then that's kind of the age that so yeah.
Last question for me, and then we could open it up to audience questions for a little bit before we get to the signing. But what is like the message, the feeling? How creeped out do you want people to feel after reading your book? Like if you had everyone here and everyone who gets the book eventually like feel exactly the way you want them to after reading your book.
I mean, like I tend to write, I like to write for entertainment, so that's why I started in screenplays, because I just want people, like as a thriller, to, I mean, I hope there's some emotion in that sense, but honestly, I really just want them to feel like they experienced like a thrill ride kind of thing of like, oh my God, this is so messed up. But like at the same time, it kind of a cat and mouse game at the end until, you know,
Definitely.
yeah. But then at the end there, I do have closure, and it's not like, you know, like I do have closure even with the grandfather character, you know, and because it's paranormal, I'm able to bring in spirits and ghosts and things like that to make kind of sort of bring it around. But yeah. So I want them to feel good.
But we're also very happy to hear that someone had a nightmare about the book cover. Because it made them
That's
remember
true.
it.
That's true. We were at a tea shop. I was with my friend Kate and her
Yes.
mom, and we were at a tea shop. And this girl was like, "Oh, what are you guys here for?" Because they were there for the celebration of my book release. And I was like, "Oh," and they were like, "Oh, her book came out," and she's like, "Oh, what's it called?" And she's like, "Grandma's Little Secret," and she's all like, "Does it have like a tub on the cover?" And I was all like, "Yes." And she's like, "Oh my God, for the last week, my sister has been trying to get me to buy this book and to read it. And I saw the cover and I've been having nightmares about it for like a week." She's like, "And I don't want to read it." And I was all like, but then she's like, "But now that I met you," I'm like, "Well, maybe you were having the dreams because you knew I was going to be coming into the store." And I'm like, so I ended up having a copy with me, and so I ended up signing a copy for her and give to her sister. But that was such a crazy small world. She's like, "Does it have a tub on it?"
So we want you to feel happy after reading the book, the emotional journey, the thriller ride. But if you have a few nightmares along the way and
Yeah.
it makes it stick in your mind that you
That's
talk to
cool.
other people about it, you know, word of mouth, we'll take it.
It's like a good time. I mean, I know it sounds weird to say. I just want you to have a good time, but essentially, I do. Like, I always kind of joke and say, like, I love to read and write what I call popcorn books. You know, where you just want to eat the popcorn while you're reading them. I can't say the word.
Consuming it.
Consuming, yes. So
Yeah,
yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah. So
Any questions from the people in the audience?
I do have a question. I wanna. It's more of like just a general. I would love to know your thoughts and like when you were writing the grandmother's POV, because when I started reading it, I thought we were just gonna get Emma, and then we switched to Virginia, and I was like, this is amazing. We get to see inside of her head. So like I thought it was so well done, especially differentiating her voice from Emma. So I wanted to see if you would talk a little bit about that process because that was genius in my
thank you. Yeah, honestly, writing Virginia, and I know this sounds weird, but it was kind of like because she was so off her kilter, it was kind of like fun in some ways because she really did think the wildest things, you know? So it was just like, and some of that is real, like some of the stuff, like her rants that she would go on, those were like genuine rants that she would do. So to pull kind of from who she actually was as a person and then try and think like, well, what's she actually thinking? And then try to put that into the book as well. So I actually weirdly enjoyed writing the only part that was really hard was the
Actually,
the yeah when she killed that was really hard, and honestly that was really hard doing the audiobook. Like I must have looked like a crazy person because I would like say a sentence, I would like sob, and then I'd be like, and then she walked down. And then I'd be like, okay, 'cause if someone was like watching me and be like, what is happening right now? It's like, I felt like,
we'll find out if she blocked that edit.
yeah, so it was very like originally I was thinking, oh, I want to make this into a movie. Like this would be something that I would want to direct or whatever. But I did not anticipate how traumatic it actually was, even in the book form, that I was like, and if I did make it to a movie just because how long movies take, you know, it'd be a 3 or 4 year process. I was like, you know what? I'll sell the rights because I don't really want to be in this story for 4 more years, you know? But it was good and cathartic at the same time too. So, but when I was really going fictional with Virginia, then it was like kind of fun because it wasn't real. So it was writing the real stuff that was the most difficult. It was just like, it just because it's real. Like, you can fictionalize all you want, but then the actual events that are happening, that's the part that's hard. But I have no idea if that answered your question, but
It did. I wasn't.
You were basically like, writing the villain was fun.
it was
Listen,
fun
but
until it wasn't.
Yes. Until it wasn't.
Yes.
We still have time for, I think, a few more questions if people want to ask. You don't have to have read the book. You can ask it based on what we've talked about so far.
So mine's not really a question, but mine is, I think you want to entertain us, and you didn't use that. We don't.
Oh,
want to
that's
enjoy-
true.
We don't want to enjoy it.
Right.
Just to entertain us, and
That's
you did.
perfect.
And I haven't read the book.
Thank
To
you.
entertain. us.
That's a better put it. Yes, entertain. That's the word I was trying
That
to
way
think of.
people don't feel like psychos for being like, I enjoyed reading this story about this girl's grandfather getting murdered.
Thoroughly entertained. I had to read it straight through.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, I'll use entertain from now on.
Are you not entertained?
Not entertained.
Anyone else?
Yes.
So I didn't yet read the book, but I will. And
Yes.
I'm going to enjoy it because I don't have time to read books like that, and I love to do
Oh,
that.
good.
But I have a question which has to do with the little girl.
Yeah.
And which has to do with you.
Yeah.
And you just said at the very end that it was very cathartic.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it for a second, and I thought how important it was for ancient Greeks to go to the theater and to watch year after year very frequently the same stories done by different authors.
Right.
There was Aeschylus, so it was, they were taken from the myths, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knew how it's going to end.
Right.
As you just didn't know how to act. And they yet still came
Yeah.
and had this incredible sense of freeing yourself from something
Yeah.
that was
Yes.
with them. So I was wondering whether one can read this book
Yeah.
also from that point of view. That really the story stayed with you.
Yes.
That was your story.
Right.
And now it becomes the story of
Right.
others, right?
Yeah.
Comment on that.
No, I love that actually, because yeah, you're right. It's like you hope that people will experience it the way you want them to experience it, but you just never know. And so all you can do is kind of just write your truth essentially. And even though it is fictionalized, it's not like I didn't write a memoir, you know what I mean? That it's, yeah, no, I hope that they can get a piece of that, of how like I felt in that moment.
It feels like Antigone
Yeah.
or Oedipus the King,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
incredible what's happening there. Tragedy after tragedy, and then
Right.
you still have to,
Yeah.
So I don't know how you survived. But I think you had a way of dealing
Yeah.
with that story,
Yeah.
the way Greece did.
Yeah.
Smaller way, bigger way.
Yeah.
You did various versions of it already.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And I think that was different way of kind of reappearing in front of the story.
Yes, I
Yeah,
love
anyway,
that.
amazing.
Thank you. I love that. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it took this much time for it to become this story because I wouldn't let go of the true story. I just kept hanging on to it and I kept clutching onto it. I'm like, and anytime it varied from the true story, I was like, no, I have to, that didn't happen, so I can't put it in there. And then once I had that moment where I was just able to let go. And honestly, it was my friend Hudson in Los Angeles. We were sitting and she's a writer and we were writing together. And I was like, I don't know, because I was still having trouble because I still, no matter what, I kept going back to saying like, well, that didn't happen. And then I was like, yeah, I should probably just make her a serial killer. And then she's like, what if you made her a serial killer? And then I was all like,
Light bulb.
okay. And then it was hard to accept initially, but then I was all like, yes, okay, because I need to fictionalize this. I need to make it a story. And so yeah, I think I needed to do all those iterations of it to get to this story. So yeah, thank you.
I see people in the chat who are saying that they love the audience questions so far. If anyone wants to ask a question from there, now would be the time. But also, if anyone else wants to ask one here, we've got about 4 more minutes, I believe, before we switch over to you signing books.
So you said the original iteration of the screenplay with you envisioned a movie for this.
Yes.
Who would play Emma?
I don't know about kids because I feel like the thing about kids is they grow so fast. So you'd have to like, I think
You're
you'd have to
CGI here. That's the
CGI.
CGI, keep them young.
I feel like it'd be fun with the kids to cast nobodies, right? Like they did with Stranger Things and like stuff like that, where it was like no one knew who they were, so it kind of really made you feel like you were in
Like
it.
they are the character.
Yeah, which is now sad for them because I think, they get typecast, unfortunately. But for the audience member, it's so great because you just feel like you're growing with them. But yeah, I have like people that I'd want for the adult characters. Yeah. Well, for Virginia, it was either between Jamie Lee Curtis or
I asked for Kathy Bates.
but then somebody else came up with one in the stream. I was on Steeg's stream and they came up with another one. I was like, oh, and now I can't
Should be
remember.
so much more. I feel like nobody would expect. I mean, like, this is
Right.
a drama. Like,
And she's and the thing about the grandma character, she's very charismatic.
Mhm.
So it's like, you think like because everyone else outside the family thinks she's hello, they mortgaged their houses to pay her bail. So she obviously impressed people.
I mean, Kathy Bates can be
She
charismatic.
honestly, to be honest though, I feel like the character that she's playing now on Matlock is that character.
I know.
Yeah, because she's just playing a sweet old lady, and then like she's like a cutthroat lawyer,
It's just like that combined with Misery.
And
And then you get Virginia.
Yeah. Honestly, we used to say it all the time that after seeing Misery, we were like, she reminds us so much of her, like physically.
I mean, you showed me the illustration in the newspaper, and I was like, I don't want to be mean, but she looks evil.
She does. That's when you're like, how did people not see this? Like, I don't get it. But yeah.
What about Roy or even the aunt in the book who bribes you with the bike?
I don't know about that. Honestly, with Roy, I was thinking like Harrison Ford.
Just so you can meet a Star Wars legend.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any like this is like R2D2 ring, by the way. I don't know what you mean. But he has that kindness to him that
Yeah.
like, and now he kind of has that like
Grandfatherly energy.
vibe. Yeah, and a little fun story. I used to work on a TV show called Ghost Whisperer, and I was on the Universal lot when they were filming Indiana Jones 4, and I was driving a golf cart, and I got so nervous because I saw Steven Spielberg and Harrison Ford crossing the crosswalk. That instead of hitting the gas, instead of the brake, I hit the gas. I almost ran them over, and then I like slammed on the brakes, and then Steven Spielberg goes, "First time driving a golf cart." Yes,
You're like, yeah, yes, 100%.
I'm so sorry. Like, it's fine. It's my Harrison Ford.
Can you imagine if you got that?
I know I could tell them. Remember the person that almost ran you over? That was me.
That would be so much fun.
Sadly, it's probably not the first time he was almost run over.
I mean, given that's his response, I have to imagine that this is not his first rodeo.
I guess.
Any other questions from the audience? Let me check the phone. Okay. Wallace said OMG, Jamie Lee Curtis would kill that role. JC said Kathy Bates. JC suggested Meryl Streep.
That was it. Okay, that was the suggestion. Right.
Yeah.
That's just JC was on the street. Yes.
JC popping up in all the
That
streets.
was the thing is we were wondering if she could put like the sad thing is they were like, could she pull it off? I'm like, hello, it's Meryl Streep. She can pull anything off. But she never played a role like that before. So that's why we were kind of intrigued of like how she would go about it. Listen, if I could get any of these people, I'd be like, hello. Dream, yes.
Yeah, so I would say we are at the end of the question time. How do you feel? And is your wrist ready to sign some books?
I am. I'm totally ready. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. Thank you guys all for coming, by the way.
Thank you for watching the live stream. We are gonna end it, but I am sure Becca will be vlogging. We will be vlogging. People in the audience have been filming as well. Some are author tubers, so I'm sure we're gonna see lots of clips of this around the internet. So thank you for being here.
Just to let you guys know, I know some of you guys have heard